When people think of Alaska Airlines, they think of airplanes, they think of airports, and that, of course, is the actual business that we're in. But what we're very cognizant of is the fact that e-commerce is the first interaction that many people have with us.
Alaska Airlines is the 5th largest domestic airline in the United States. We do our best to be competitive through scrappy innovation.
We were the first airline to sell airline tickets online. That culture of innovation is driving us to have more guest centricity and more product focus to provide the absolute best guest experience.
Our customers are accessing our site with multiple different platforms, from web to mobile, kiosk at the airport. It's extremely crucial for us to provide consistent digital experience.
Guest experience through our digital platforms is key. If we don't get that right, then they certainly won't become loyal guests. Our technology teams are working in an incredibly complex and data-rich environment.
AppDynamics is providing us deep visibility into our application's performance on front end and back end. That holistic view gives me the peace of mind that we are actually delivering the right experience for our guests. Cognition Engine is taking that dynamic baselining to the next level. The ability to quickly figure out the root cause is a big deal for us, and we are using Cognition Engine to make our mean time to resolution even faster. Our mean time to detection went from hours to less than 10 minutes, which is a huge win for us.
From 2017 to 2018, we were able to reduce the number of Sub 1 outages that we had by 60%, and we're continuing to sustain that.
We are using a hybrid environment on-premise and in the cloud, a lot of microservices and serverless computing.
The adoption of Azure and using the cloud has been a great enabler for our teams. It allows them to break up little bits of business logic, to experiment with them and deploy them quickly.
With AppDynamics, the developers, the engineers who are focused on trying to solve a guest problem can not only consider just the user experience or just the performance of the service in the back end, but how everything ties together.
And in partnership with AppD, we can be sure that we're building solutions that are healthy and reliable.
We can get a holistic view of the performance that really manifests itself in the things that matter to our guests.
I'm really passionate about how we're using the latest technologies to solve real pain points for our customers. The fact that we are making travel experience easy, joyful, and something they look forward to every time they travel makes me excited.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Steve Long, Regional CTO, AppDynamics.
Thank you. Thank you. It's exciting to be here, and I just love to hear from our executives and all these feature and product updates. So I'm Steve Long. I'm the Corporate Technology Officer. I work on technology strategy here at AppDynamics as part of Cisco. But it's not only an honor and a privilege to be up here to be your customer moderator for the panel we have here that we're going to invite on here, but I want to go back a little bit in time. 2010 was the first time I became an AppD customer. I was a VP of operations for an entertainment company, and the second time I became a customer of AppD, I was the CIO of a fintech company. So I want to welcome on stage other customers of AppD. Come on up on stage here, and we'll get some introductions done. Wonderful. Welcome. You guys excited?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Have a seat. So I want to start off by introducing Nemo, who you just saw from Alaska Airlines on stage. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and why the digital experience is so important to your business.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to be here. You guys already know me from the video. So I'm software engineering manager at Alaska Airlines e-commerce department. I've been with Alaska for the last 5 years now. Actually, I transitioned into a new role leading 2 of our product teams. But before that, I was leading our site reliability engineering team, which oversees our entire digital platform to make sure they are reliable, up and running, and consistent. I built it up from that team from ground up into a world-class SRE team, and we couldn't have done without AppDynamics. We're using many of the AppDynamics products, but to monitor our application side, our end-user response time and end-user experience, as well as the infrastructure. So it gives us the 360 view of our application stack. We are running hybrid, complex environment, both on-prem and into the cloud, and feasibility is super important for us. It's no secret that Alaska Airlines, we are obsessed to provide the best guest experience possible, and we're leveraging AppDynamics to do that.
Wow. I know as a customer and flight tracker and even my luggage tracking, I'm glad you're here to tell us more about that. Wonderful. Earl, I'd love to hear more about you, your role at PSCU, and how the digital experience is important to your business.
Well, digital experience, we're in the fintech space, and PSCU is the largest credit union service organization in the country. We have about 1,200 credit unions and 160 we run about 160 million transactions a day. We're First Data, the third largest customer. So we produce services for credit unions because they don't have the financial wherewithal to compete with the large banks. Is basically in a co-op model is what our business is all about. And in the banking space, there's competition. If the digital experience isn't phenomenal, there's choices. So they're going to pick up and potentially go elsewhere. So the visibility that AppDynamics gives us of our app stack and the user side of our applications is paramount to being able to deliver that experience. And it's been a great journey.
Wonderful. Yeah, I've been in fintech. Time is money, so wonderful to have you here. And then Ron, Jobvite, tell us a little bit about your company, your experiences, and how the digital experience and what it means to you. I know I've used Jobvite before personally, so love to hear.
I'm Ron Teeter. I'm Chief Architect at Jobvite. Jobvite is a award-winning, market-leading talent acquisition platform. Like you said, You've used it. If you're in the Bay Area, you used it. If you're outside of the Bay Area, you've probably used it, and you might not know it. But basically, we cater to multiple personas. We have the job seekers that are coming in to find the next job they're going to love. We have the employees at the hiring company that are looking for their next teammates. And then we have our internal stakeholders who are looking to make sure that that's working well, that those stakeholders are getting their maximum value out of that matchmaking. And, there's very few things that are more important in your life than what you do with your career, what you do with the time of your value. So we cater to that market. We've been using AppDynamics for about 6 years. We were blind when I joined the company. Stuff would break and we didn't know what.
Oh, yeah. We've all been there as customers, sure.
And so over the years, we've invested in AppDynamics. We've invested in visibility. We've invested in moving from a traditional dev and operations culture to a full functioning DevOps organization.
Wow. Good shift.
So you have to make these transformations, right? And the nice thing for me today is seeing that, AppDynamics is seeing that same vision and acting on it. We were one of Harness's first customers, and the first thing we did was connect it to AppDynamics. Wow. So, definitely know that marriage is made in heaven. That's going to work. But the next thing is to get into what you're looking for from an outstanding experience.
Yeah.
And, making sure that every application is going through, making sure that every recruiter is reading that application and being able to respond to that candidate in a timely fashion is our core mission.
Great. Well, welcome to the stage, and that's great to hear about your digital experiences and what it means to you. But I want to shift into the strategy that both Danny and Anuj talked about. It's kind of divided up into 3 pillars. So that visibility pillar, I'm going to throw the first question to you, Earl. How has opening up, looking at performance improvements, or how have you found performance being unlocked from seeing that end-to-end visibility and being able to look at the cross-domain things like cloud services as well as data centers?
Well, backing up 5 years ago, as Ron said, we were blind. We fundamentally had synthetic transactions on 16 of our 30-odd Tier 1 applications.
Yeah.
We knew the app was broke on those 16 apps 5 minutes before the phone rang, but we didn't know what else because we didn't have the data to show us what was going on. and our AppDynamics, when instrumenting with machine and APM agents, we really did nothing. We used it out of the box. There was a couple of spots where we had to do some POJOs for custom classes that our app dev team had wrote. But out of the box, it built the app map. We used the detection models with 3 and 4 standard deviations out of the box today, still, 5 years later. And
did you ever find anything that wasn't
absolutely?
Wasn't there?
And if you haven't started this journey, if you're not visualizing your app stack, you really need to. The digital experience to your customer is paramount, and without doing this, you can't. Monitoring is really about visualizing the environment, the infrastructure, and application. And from the application performance side, both the app, the data center side and the real user side, what the users are seeing, I'm sure somebody will get to here before long, but we were blind. We could see nothing. What I can tell you is when you start this journey, putting AppDynamics in is like walking into a room and turning the lights on.
Yep. You
can see everything. What I promise you will see JVMs that are not tuned and causing problems. You will see load balancers that are not. You will, and changing load balancing characteristics so the load gets shifted.
I think we all laugh because we're shaking our heads going, I remember
everybody that we
pointing traffic to a test environment.
That's done this journey will tell you these same things. But it gets you visibility of, large vendor of ours on Cyber Monday that processes about 70% of the credit and debit swipes in this country had a problem on Cyber Monday. I knew about it before they did because they're a third-party back end to us. AppDynamics nailed it immediately. I was on the phone with them, and they're going, "What are you talking about? We don't have a problem." "Yeah, you do." I sent them a screenshot. 2 hours later, a couple of VPs and a CEO of that company are on the phone. We're having whoops, we ran out of capacity. Really, on Monday? But anyway.
So that really speaks to the visibility pillar. Yeah. And if we move over into actually seeing these problems from an insight perspective, Nemo, why don't I throw this question at you? What has APM done to you, not only just in your IT organization by giving you insights, but as well as your business side? Because they're two sides and they generally don't talk the same language.
Absolutely. So from the feasibility side, the first time we installed AppDynamics, you always surprised with the amount of feasibility you get out of it. Absolutely, and that was amazing for us. But in order to stay ahead of the curve and make sure we are providing the best experience possible for our guests, we needed to minimize that mean time to detection and mean time to resolution, which was actually killing us before that. So one of the things that AppDynamics real-time insights and as well as feasibility did for us, and you have seen it in the video, our mean time to detection went from hours to less than 10 minutes right now, which is amazing. And that reduced also the mean time to resolution because we have deep insight in what's going on. Wow. In addition to that, we heard that most people, 60%, are looking at their digital device when they woke up. For me, 2.5 years, it was AppDynamics dashboards. That was the first thing
So you don't do TMZ, you don't
do that? I might start that now. But,
okay.
Yeah.
I like
AppDynamics was, AppDynamics was that TMC for me for that times. And
we're technologists. I mean, it's our...
With the hybrid environment that we are running and with our shift to cloud-first approach, the deep insight was really important for us. It allowed us to figure out what applications we need to move to the cloud, what problem areas our guests are having, and give us like that 360-degree view of our entire stack, which was awesome.
Wonderful. So that talks about the insights. And Ron, I'm going to throw a question at you around our actioning pillar, really, how that has been beneficial to you from an actioning perspective and a machine learning perspective. And then I kind of want the secondary question is, what are you excited about with AI, and what do you see the future of AI?
Well, I think those two are coupled, and I'm glad that you asked the question that way because ultimately, the first order is visibility. You need to be able to see what the problem is, that you can act on it.
Yeah.
But the second pillar is, what do I act on first? What's going to make a difference? The third one is really how do I know whether or not it's something I need to act on? Or how can I act on it before it's reported, right? And it's that third piece that we really need to focus on next, right? In general, I think many companies that have APM are in one of the first two pillars. There are very few companies that are fully engaged into the third pillar yet.
Actioning, yeah.
I'm really pleased with the work that our team has been able to do over the last 2 years, to the point now where when there is a problem, in many cases, the problem's been resolved before it's reported.
Yeah.
Right? So we get these stale calls coming in through support saying, hey, there's a problem. It's like, well, there was a problem 15 minutes ago. Yeah. It's fixed.
Yeah. So you've been down the continuum of actually being able to trust that you know that it's a problem and fix it, rather than not trust it and maybe fix it and cause another problem.
Yeah, and the first thing we did was we just automated a lot of the what would you do by hand.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I do a thread dump on that JVM and see what the problem is. Okay, do a thread dump, move it in S3. Now the engineers can get to it when they need to, right? As we move down this path into more powerful tools like Deep Insights, that's really where we want, right? I don't want to bring the engineers to the data. I want to bring the data to the engineer.
So is the future coming to you now, it seems? From an AI?
Oh, yeah. I've been hankering for it.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Nemo, on your side, we hear a lot about the digital transformation journey. Share a little bit about how that has been meaningful to you, and it's obviously never ending, but share a little bit about what that means to you and your organization and how that's been impacted by AppDynamics.
Definitely. So the digital transformation for us, the two things. First was our move to the cloud in order to increase our scalability, flexibility, and the speed of innovation. That provided us huge upper hand and give us a way to iterate our product is faster to market. But it also introduced a complexity in our technology stack, and that's where AppDynamics came in. It made us, our engineers, connected more what's going on with the user experience. With the data-driven approach and the insights that they have, they can make data-driven decisions to figure out how the latest feature they push to production is impacting our guests, and how that change is impacting application performance, basically. Because these things have real impacts on our guests. It means long lines at the airport. Sometimes, for the worst case, it might mean flight delays, right? So the digital transformation was very key for us. It unlocked for us huge capabilities, and AppDynamics has been part of that.
Yeah, I'd like to steal a line from Anuj. Previously, he said, you have this most granular and contextual data to work with, and I think your digital transformation journey has been impacted by having those key things in the data to make business decisions. So
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. Earl, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you. What's the most exciting thing about being a technologist? What does that mean to you today about being a technologist, and what's the most exciting thing about it?
So, from my perspective, the thing I'm most excited about is the application of machine learning across larger and larger sets of data across our infrastructure, where I can start pulling in data from infrastructure and switches and routers and F5, along with application data, and use machine learning across that data set to provide actionable insights that I can trust and act on. And that's going to continue to grow. I don't see any stopping of it. And it's going to provide us better insights and better decision points, because we all know that that providing analytics over larger sets of data and the results that has brought us to this point, and it's just going to continue to get better and better. And as AppDynamics has shown, they're focused on doing that as well. Looking forward to what's coming in the future with that application of that technology across the data sets that we have in our infrastructures.
Yeah, I always like to say, I now can look at a product and say, a dumb CIO like me can go, here's the who, what, when, where, why of the problem. And, before I couldn't do that. And so it's an exciting time. So that's great.
And here's what I do about it.
Now you have it. It's that dossier. Here's the answer to the question. Yeah. Wonderful. So with all the changes, Ron, and Jobvite and your organization and where you've been, can you share a little bit about, how those massive changes that you've gone through, how that's changed your business's future and your career growth?
Sure. I mean, obviously, there's a personal and a team perspective here, right?
Yeah.
Personally, I'm sitting here on the stage. That wouldn't have happened 6 years ago. I've been recognized as one of your top 25 IT innovators. Those are personal accolades, but they were delivered by a large team.
Yeah.
Right? And while it's good for my professional growth to be able to get out and talk about the work that we've been doing and how we're advancing the status quo, if you will, everybody on my team is able to step up from the mundane and pursue their career objectives as well, right? So everybody is moving up, right? We're trying to take the people out of servicing the machines and make the machines service the people.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I know personally as a customer, it literally changed my career. I joined this company because of that, and it helped my teams have their nights and weekends back. Maybe not immediately overnight, but over time, when you start to fix problems, find them, and move the company forward, I think it's a great thing. So that was our lightning round, and I really want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy days, coming here on site, and being part of our customer panel. So with that, I want to thank you. Exciting day here at AppD and Transform in San Francisco. I'm going to invite Danny Winokur back on stage to close us out. So thank you again for showing up and sharing your stories.